Morning. We need to again talk about Anthony Albanese. Now, two of my favourite sayings. When the information changes, so should your conclusion, which is pretty handy in racing. And in leadership, sometimes you choose the moment, sometimes the moment chooses you. Last Sunday morning, I took a little walk and talk and said how I thought Anthony Albanese was a very decent man, and he took great courage and proper leadership in putting on a kipper and visiting the St Kilda Synagogue immediately post October 7, when the filth, for instance, were at the Opera House October 8. But then since then he hadn't done a lot. He'd played politics, and that's hardly a surprise for a career politician. And that was being held against him now. Well, the information's now changed. I no longer think of Anthony Albanese as a decent man. I think of Anthony Albanese as a rat skunk, unfit to lead this country. When he got in, he made a big point of saying he's going to lead for all Australians. And what he's now doing, in survival mode, like the rat that he clearly has now become, because you learn a lot about people when they're going great, and you learn more about people when they're at their lowest. And now, in survival mode, he's turned into a rat skunk, and he's no longer governing for all. And let me explain why. Yesterday, in trying to justify why the government isn't holding a royal commission into Bondi, he gave two examples. So I'm using his words and not against him in a nitpicking way, but to give an example of why he's a career politician who has grovelled his way to the top, who has yes-manned his way upwards, and now he's got to the top, and I saw this a lot in the media days, he's run out of people to suck up to because he's in the main chair. And now he actually has to lead, and lead for all, to use his terms. And he's chosen not to because he's in rat survival mode, because he's a rat, and he's proven to be a rat and shown himself to be a rat. In justifying why there shouldn't be a royal commission, he said, look this up, he said, I note there was no royal commission called by the Howard government post Port Arthur, and there was no royal commission called by the Abbott government post the Lynch siege. And I know that because we were in opposition both times, is what he added. Yes, he has been a career politician. And of course he framed it like a career politician would, rather than frame it like a human should. Because he stopped being a human now. He's back in rat mode, survival mode. For those too stupid or brainwashed to understand the difference between the three atrocities, and they all ended up in mass murder. Let's call it as it is. Port Arthur, a lone deranged gunman, turned up one day and started firing indiscriminately. He had no cause other than he just wanted to kill people. He had no background other than he's a deranged psychopath. Don't even want to name it. The Lynch siege. Look all this up. Man Monis, a hate preacher, but clearly a crazed lunatic. So while he had Islamic, Muslim, terrorism and fundamentals in actions and at heart, he was a genuine psychopath. And the Muslim community called him out. You know, as opposed to the silence that the Jewish communities had to endure from the Muslim leaders. Predominantly, since Bondi, big exception to Ed Husick, the Labor MP, who is Muslim, and frankly, I'd be delighted if he was Prime Minister rather than the skunk we now have. So one, a genuine psychopath with no affiliation. Two, a psychopath with a Muslim background who again just chose a place at random, created a siege, had a background. More should have been done to do the background, but he didn't target Jews. He went into a siege, into a shop, and created a hostage situation. And when the police finally stormed in, there were lives lost, tragically. That has nothing to do with Bondi. Nothing whatsoever. And that skunk, who is unfit to be our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, either knows it and is deliberately choosing to suck up to his heartland now that he realises that he's lost an entire section of the community. That being either Jews or people who think it's not okay to just randomly slaughter Australian Jews at Bondi. So as a leader, he's still sucking it up downwards now. Get it? But it's not about politics. Jews were randomly targeted, but as long as they were Jews. You get it? There's the difference. Port Arthur, random targets. Lynch Siege, random targets. Bondi, deliberate targets as the end point of 26 months of hatred being spewed onto the Australian Jewish community unaccountably. That's the difference. And that is why a Royal Commission is needed, because a Royal Commission is also public, and the public need to understand, because day after day there'll be evidence submitted, and it is in complete contrast to both the silence and the disgusting filth in the lefty media at the moment, saying, oh, they're politicising it. The reason there's politicising it is because for 26 months, members of an Australian community were unaccountably demonised. And like the old saying goes, you don't know how many drops are in a bucket before it's a full bucket. Eventually, drop after drop after drop led to Bondi. And Anthony Albanese, career politician, is no longer fit to run this country because he refuses to have a Royal Commission, because he refuses to want to put on the table the disgusting rollout of hatred that was unaccountably put towards one community. And guess what's happening now? It's back there again. It has been a full week and a half after all.